Welcome back to another thing on Field of Food.
She's got it. Perfect.
Another thing. Another thing.
It's just another thing.
That's what I was saying.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another Field of Food podcast. Actually, I want to start off with an apology for our regular viewers. We skipped, I think, as of this point, 2 Tuesdays now, and probably going to end up doing a third Tuesday. So, sorry if you guys are following along consistently, but welcome back. We're going to do a mid-season, end-of-season for most guys here update, and as you can tell, it's been a good year so far. So, I don't know, we'll start with DJ.
I gotta start with you. You killed yours first.
I suppose. So, the deer on that side of the screen for you guys, yeah, that guy. We nicknamed that guy Wraparound because we actually had a couple encounters with him, and he was just so unique with how he kind of claws up and really close forward. I thought my beams were close. Yours are paper close. But I passed that deer twice. Texted the guys about it both times, and I'm like, no, not this year, because I really thought he was going to be just a slammer next year. And then what day did I shoot him? The 20th of November, I think it was. I think it was the day before my brother's birthday and your birthday. Mm-hmm. On the ground with the crossbow, two things that are abnormal, and he came in 8:30, 8:45, maybe shortly after 9. I'm not sure, but shot was a little forward, and we had to track him down for the next couple hours. Bumped him in his bed once. He got up, moved around a little bit. We came back in there a couple hours later, and there it was.
Did you rattle or something to him?
No. He was bachelored up. He wasn't rutting. He had 2 small bucks with him, and he was just eating acorns.
Yeah, that's right.
No. What about yours?
That was a quick one. This is a West Virginia buck, by the way. So, pretty big. I mean, it's not saying anything bad about West Virginia, but I think for the area that I was in, that's a good deer. Yeah, I've killed a lot bigger deer than this in Ohio, obviously, but for where I was at in West Virginia, this was a really nice deer. My cousin Jordan invited me down in the spring, early spring, late winter. He came up here. I have a lot of family in West Virginia. We were all together for a funeral, and he asked me to invite me down. I don't know, you know how those invitations go, where it's like...
Yeah. Is he just being nice?
Yeah, is he just being nice, or is he like, seriously, come down?
Yeah.
So I was getting my butt kicked in Ohio, and so I texted him. Their rifle seasons the week of Thanksgiving and the week after. I think I called him or texted him Tuesday or Wednesday. It was like 6 days before their rifle season started. I'm just like, hey, I don't know if you're being serious about me coming down there, but since I went there for turkey season, not the same place, but just West Virginia, went there for turkey, it comes with a rifle deer tag.
Yeah.
I was like, I have a tag, He's like, yeah, come on down. He said the neighbor's got 120 acres that I could probably hunt on, and he had 60. Called the neighbor's like, yeah, that's fine, let him go hunt. So I went down Sunday night. So 4 days, packed up, okayed it with Hannah, packed up, went down, and I planned on hunting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, and then coming home for Thanksgiving. I was just taking the whole week off work. Was checking everything out on Onyx, and there was this 120 acres. There's a big oil field pad on it, and then there's this just tall, overgrown CRP field.
Okay.
And then that CRP field goes up into this big mountainside, and it had 3 different fingers coming off. It was like a big ridge. It was a pretty good size hill. I mean, not mountain, I would say. I mean, it's in Appalachia,
Yeah, West Virginia.
Then these 3 fingers coming off, and I was like, well, just first thing in the morning, I'm going to get up on that ridge, and I'm just going to walk that ridge. I had my Exo pack with me that I use for out west. I put my saddle on that pack. I had my jet boil, I was not coming back until dark. I was hunting dark to dark.
Yeah.
Both days, and then same thing Wednesday until noon. That was my plan. Didn't really expect to shoot a deer, and he showed me, he actually had a picture of this deer on his trail camera, just one picture before he broke and then one picture after he broke that off. And this was the biggest deer he had a trail camera picture of. He did have one that he took with his cell phone just driving down the road that was pretty close. Or he might have been hunting. I think he might have been hunting. But anyways, it was real far off and pretty blurry picture of a pretty good deer. It was probably 150-inch deer. I mean, it was quite a bit bigger than this deer. So anyways, we both head out in the morning, and it's pitch black. They knew where they were going. They were just going to do a tree stand. And I said, well, I'm going to hike up that ridge. Well, I started down there, and I hit this grassy field. It's still dark, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here on the edge of this field, and I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till daylight, because in West Virginia with a rifle, in case I do jump a deer, say it runs 100 yards, I can still shoot it.
Yeah.
So I figured I'll just sit here until daylight, until I can see, and then I'll hike up that mountain, and then I'll just hunt all day. I sat down I still have my backpack on, strapped to me. This was not a permanent sitting spot.
You were still at a walking pulse.
Yep, I was sitting on the side of this bank, overlooking this little field, using my backpack as a chair, essentially.
Yeah.
Lean back, and I'm just sitting there waiting for it to get light, and it was 6:43. Shooting light was 6:46. Here comes a big buck, and I couldn't even tell he had antlers unless I looked through my binoculars, and I think he was bigger than this deer, honestly. It was dark. It was hard to tell.
Yeah.
Nice buck. Shooter buck for sure for West Virginia and where I was at. But I just couldn't make him out, and he works through. I'm looking at my phone. I'm trying to wait for it to. I'm waiting for that 3-minute mark, you know. It hits 6:44. He walks right by. He gets in the woods. And I'm like, well, shit. So I rattled. I waited about 5 minutes, let him get down in this draw, and he started up that mountainside. I rattled. Now it's light enough that I can see, I can shoot, legal light. Nothing. I'm like, well, that was worth a shot. I sit there another 2-3 minutes. Rattle one more time. I said, I want to give it one more shot. So I rattled about 5 minutes after. It's 6:55 now, I would say. It's about 10 minutes after legal light. I rattled right at legal light. After I watched him walk away, waited another 5-6 minutes, rattled again. And looking this way, so this deer walks right to left of me. The one that was too dark to shoot walks right to left, and he goes into this draw. So I'm just looking this way, and I have my gun. I got it sitting on the tripod, and I'm just waiting, thinking he's going to come out of that corner of that field again. And all of a sudden, I just happen to kind of glance to the right, walking right through the dead center of this oil well pad. There's a huge oil well tank here, an oil well tank here, and this buck is walking right between them.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got this deer. I'm like, that looks like a good one. So I start to swing. And he was doing that sideways step where they got their head turned, and he's coming in for a fight.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of turning, and he'd take a few steps, and he's just looking. And I couldn't tell if he was starting to pick me out or not. I was trying to swing my whole tripod so I could just get a good steady shot. And when you're right-handed and you're trying to, turn to your right, it's a pain in the ass.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Especially if you're on a hill.
Yeah. Yeah, on a hill. So anyways, I ended up just pulling off the tripod, and I was like, he starts coming, and he hits 100 yards. I'm like, I don't need the tripod, So I'm on him, and he hits about 80, and then he turns and just comes right to me. Just walking straight at me.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I don't think I need a 270 for this. So he hit like 58. I ranged it after, so I know, but he hits 58, and he just stops like this and just stares right in my direction. And I just put it right on the center of his chest, and he never moved. Just dropped him. It was beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea what deer it was. I knew it was for where I was at in West Virginia that it was a shooter buck.
Yeah.
Like my cousin would show me pictures, and he would show me pictures of 8 points like this, and he's like, you see a deer that size, shoot it. You're here for 3 days. Deer don't get real big in this area.
Yeah.
He's like, shoot it. And I knew this deer. I seen he was at its ears. That was all I knew.
That's
and
a good
shot. And I'm looking at him after he dropped. I'm looking at him with the binos, and I could see this side. And my cousin texted me. He's like, "Did you shoot?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think it's a good one." And I was like, "Man, I don't know. I'm 60 yards away, but I think it's that heavy 10-pointer." He's like, "No way. That's the biggest one I've seen all year." And sure enough, I walked down there, and it was him.
Yeah, he's a good deer.
It was 9 minutes after legal light. I had just sat down. Just figured I'd wait till daylight to walk up that mountain, and 2 shooter bucks come by and end up shooting him. Quickest hunt I've ever had.
I think it's a good thing you went south.
Yeah.
Good call.
It was
Hannah.
a nice. Yeah. Thanks.
I was on my way to work
Yeah, I called Hannah.
and I was like, it's still kind of dark out.
Yep.
It's a couple minutes past legal light.
Yep. It was. Thanks to my wife for letting me do this, and thanks to my cousin Jordan and Kara for inviting me down.
Yeah, it's real nice of them. Did you score him?
I have not.
No.
I'm guessing he's, I don't know, 120s.
Yeah,
It sucks he broke. From the pictures he showed me, this tine was definitely his tallest. It was definitely taller than this G2.
Was it?
Yeah, so that was his biggest tine that he broke, and then his brow matched the brow on the other side, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And he would have touched. His tips cross, but super heavy deer for where I was at.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the neighbors come by, and I wouldn't say neighbors, but it's his wife's family. They all come by and checked him out and everything. That was cool. But yeah, I got lucky. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was quick.
Good deer. What about you had a good deer this year too?
Yep, I got 2 during gun season. The buck, though, actually, surprisingly, usually like the buck is my last deer to get, but this year it was the first one, which was surprising. But I tried all year with a bow, didn't really get a lot of opportunities. And then for gun season, I remember talking to Kyle, and he kind of told me, he's like, on the property, gun really isn't too good here, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time that I went out, I mean, I didn't realize there was going to be that many people in the area gun hunting, but I went out there and it sounded like World War III.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, there ain't no way I'm seeing a deer.
Yeah.
There's no way. And
there's going to be some background noise. The wife's going up to get her sourdough out of the oven. Sorry.
I love how like you gave the okay and then she's like, okay,
she doesn't even walk that quietly in the woods.
Sourdough. Yeah.
It's important.
But I kept, the only opportunity I kept having was I had this real small doe that kept coming in, and I mean, I'm pretty sure it was probably a yearling, and I was like, man, like the season's been rough, but I'm like, I don't want to shoot a small deer.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when I went out with gun, that small deer walked up, and I mean, the tree line directly in front of me, I mean, couldn't have been more centered to my stand. Walked straight out, and I'm like, I feel like I'm being taunted right now, and the funny thing is, I made the conscious decision. I was like, no. I was like, I don't care how desperate I get. I was like, I'm not going to do it. And I 100% accepted I wasn't going to do it. And I swear it's like something lined up after that, because as soon as I made that conscious decision, I just hear and I turn, and a pack of 8 deer just walk out to my right side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was about to shoot that direction, and then I saw them come out, and I saw there were 2 bucks in the group. There was a couple yearlings, mostly does, 2 bucks. One was a smaller 6-point. The other one, I couldn't see the rack. I could see his body. I was like, that's a big body deer, and he kept grunting, and I was like, oh, okay. So like I knew it was a buck.
Yeah.
And I mean, it felt like forever, because the yearlings went into the field first, then the does followed, and then that small 6-point followed, and that deer did not move. And he was behind a bunch of brush and everything, so I couldn't get a shot. Not to mention, like you said, he was on my right side. I'm a right-handed shooter, so
It's hard to turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which my doe, I actually had to shoot left-handed this year because she came out the same side, and I couldn't turn, so I actually had to shoot left-handed. But I just waited. I was like, last year being patient, it paid off. Yeah. So I just waited, and finally he walked into the field, and then I got a good look at him. I was like, oh, that's a good sized deer. And
This was the buck that was grunting.
yes.
That was at the end of the group or whatever.
Yep. And he walked out into the field right about 65, 70 yards, and he walked right into a clearing right at the very back of the field. And luckily, I was able to get my gun rested on the stand, and I just kind of crouched down.
Just tucked in there.
And I didn't even really take, I saw the antlers through my eyes, but I didn't.